This is Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park. Just a few weeks before our big reveal, our new singer Emily Armstrong and I sat down to discuss what life had been like for both of us while trying to keep Linkin Park's return a secret. We also talked about Emily joining the band and the creative process behind our new album, From Zero. Now you can hear that conversation for yourself. Enjoy. Follow, rate, and review From Zero, a conversation with Mike Shinoda and Emily Armstrong, now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We just finished the record. Holy shit.
Weird.
It's done. It's
32
mastered.
minutes.
It's 32 minutes. It's so many, it's like years of evolution and work and like figuring shit out.
I mean, it must
packed
be
into
more
a half
weird
hour.
for you guys because
It's
I
super
came
weird
in
for me.
later.
Yeah.
You know, even
But
though
you can't-
2019.
You say that, but when you came in, like it's almost like if it was a painting, then it starts with a blank canvas, and then like we sketched something and we erased it. We sketched something and we erased it, and did that, and like it slowly started to be like, oh, maybe this part's good, maybe that part's good, and we did that for a very long time. And then we started to go, that's it. And that's when you showed up. Is like, we started inviting you in, you started singing on things, and everyone went, yo, that's amazing. Like, what is that? And then it wasn't immediately like, what were the first things you sang on? Do you know? Like in the new batch of stuff. Unshatter was an early one.
Unshatter, yep. That was, I think, the first one.
I know 2019 we did Vertigo. We also did a couple of other demos. They didn't make it. They weren't like part of this record, but they were really good experiments.
Yeah.
I remember making that one more mellow one with you, and that I really liked that one because it told me a lot about like your more melodic kind of singing, and that when it was just the two of us writing, and it was like, oh, she's really good with melody, she's like very versatile, and that always just stuck with me. And then I didn't see you for like, I told you at the time, I was like, this whole thing is gonna be very slow, like nobody's ready to do anything yet. It's almost like I mention it and it's like there's an element of like, I feel like people are like uncomfortable. I didn't say that to you, but that's how I felt. I felt like I would say it to them, like, so like, do you guys want to get together or what? And I wasn't saying that I wanted to, I was just testing the water, and they were like, yeah, and then they wouldn't call back or wouldn't text back. And I was like, okay, we're not ready for any of that. And then slowly, like, Joe was the first one to hit me up and be like, let's put some dates on the calendar, like let's get together. And I was okay. And then I said it to Dave, and Dave was like, yes, let's do it. It was almost like yada yada yada, we made some things, and then they made more things and made more things. There was all this work that went into like establishing a foundation, like a baseline, and none of it was like keeper. None of it was stuff that was going to make an album, but it was all stuff we needed to do in order to get to the first. In order to get to step one, it took years of work to get to like, okay, now we're gonna start.
Yeah, I could totally see that now.
Yeah.
I could totally see that.
And that's when you were in the mix at that step one, but you weren't like the singer. You were just like singing on a couple things.
I remember listening to a lot of the music and just being like, okay, it's kind of all over the place.
It was.
Yeah,
I
was just kind of like, where would this?
Like, what are these guys doing?
But then But I understand too, like having been in a band for so long, I'm like, there's just so many different directions where this could go.
Right.
So that's still, I still had like that like question mark of just being like, wow, this is actually a very exciting place to be in.
Yeah.
Because
we were
it can
experimenting
go
a
anywhere.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a full understanding either. You know what I
Right.
mean? So there was like not really much I could question. It was just kind of like, they're figuring it out, and the best thing you could do for a band is just let them figure it out.
Once we got closer, once everybody got to know each other a lot better and got more comfortable, then everybody was really more open about like giving their opinions and throwing in ideas. And when we started to do that with Colin, when we started to do that with you, and then we started to do it with everybody together. It wasn't like it happened overnight. It was like it slowly started to happen more and more. And everybody, like when you weren't in the room, Dave and Joe would say to me, like, that was really good. Like,
Yeah.
I loved the vibe of what we did the other day. Even if the song wasn't the best song, it was really fun to do.
Yeah.
I know that we're gonna write a good song that's better than the one we just did.
And so we
It's
started
just,
doing.
we haven't, yeah, we just
Yeah.
haven't done it yet, but
Yeah.
it's gonna happen because it's too fun.
Yeah.
We're having a good time.
That's when you know, when it starts like, when you start doing it, you're like, wait, this wasn't like a coincidence.
It's not like a chore.
And then you start doing it and you're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
like this actually sounds great. Like, well, how can we push it more? And it's like when the sparks start to become a fire instead of dying out all the time,
Yeah.
you know, and that's another thing too
momentum
about being
stayed up.
in a band. Yeah, it's like you try to make these moments, and a lot of them die.
Yeah.
A lot of them die down, and it's fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
You know, but once it happens, when that certain elements come together, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, and then it just starts growing, and you're like, how do we manage this? Like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, let's just, okay, and it just takes a life of its own.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's so exciting, and that's
There's
kind
like a
of-
momentum.
Yeah.
We were already like pretty deep into the album, and we made Casualty. Fuck.
Yeah.
You weren't, I mean, we didn't want to burden you or Colin with what was going on our side, but on our side, like, Brad was hesitant. He was like a little resistant, and I think it was just like all of the baggage of everything
Sure.
was hard. And we knew that, and we kept saying to him gently, like, the door's so super open to you. We would love to have you on board. Like, we benefit from like your point of view. And we have concerns, like our dynamic that we've been working with, like with the three of us and Emily and Colin, is so good, and adding anybody at all might change that. So like, just come in and see it, and I think you'll like it. And he did, and he gave it a chance. And one of the first things he was saying is like, I think we could write something heavier, like way heavier. And we did Casualty, and you came with those lines in the chorus. You came up with that, with the "Let Me Out." When you said "Let Me Out," I was like, "Fuck, what is that?" That sounds so like intense.
Yeah.
It was so intense.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, because, yeah, I mean, the way that I initially would write, because we were a live band,
Yeah.
Dead Sarah.
Yeah.
Like, we wrote in a room together.
Yes,
That's how we
I know
wrote.
that. Yeah.
So a lot of the shit would happen from, and you've probably noticed this about me too now, it's like, I live is like where I come alive.
Yeah.
But like, it's like,
You enjoy. You enjoy performing. Like,
and
you
it-
want to sing.
Yeah. So when there's something that's there that's just like very heavy or like I'll just,
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you have a
the
good
fire
way. I've
comes
said
out.
to you, you've got a really good way of turning off your mental filter and just letting stuff pop out. And you get you get embarrassed by it, but then you also just continue to do it, which is great. That's ideal. Like, for me,
that's me.
On the other side of that, like, I don't have as much of that. I've got a different version of it when I write. So when I'm in the room with somebody, and there are a lot of different people I've known who I've worked with who have that. John Green is really good at that. Jake Torrey is also really good at that. Like, they'll sit and they'll just like, stuff will just come out and pop out and pop out and pop out. And you do that in a different way that's a little wilder. And so when it hits, it's like, oh, like, there's nothing like it. You'll say things or sing things that I would never logically do.
I know.
And I love that. Like, it works really well. Because I felt like that was like, for me, it was a missing component. I don't do that naturally.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to live in that wild place without somebody like you. You have this, like, it's so solid. Everything revolves in a good way. Like, revolves around like what you put there. It's so confident and it's so good, and it's easy for me to get wild around that because I know at some point I'm able to be, wild and free because I know that you guys are so good at what you do.
There's a structure. It's almost like
this.
We have we give you a safety net.
So safety.
We give you a safety net, and you can go wild.
Yeah.
And maybe you won't need. I think the way in my brain, like, the metaphor is like, is like we'll provide like a structure, like a safety net under you,
Yeah.
and then you can go crazy, and you may not need the safety net at all. Like you
Right,
may just
yeah.
be able to just do your thing
Yeah.
and whatever, but in the event that it starts going off the rails,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we got this,
Yeah.
like we got you, it's all
Yeah,
good.
And I've noticed, it's so nice. And that's one of the arcs that I've found in this process of being like, I get more and more comfortable. Like, and I'm like, what about this melody? And you'd be like, yeah, like that's cool. And then you just finish it into something that's so brilliant. I'm like, yeah, that.
It's funny you say
So
that, because
good.
I felt the same way about Colin too. Because he and I, like, there are times when I just feel like we share a brain. Like ever since I met him, I remember coming home from the first session where I worked with Colin, like 2021-ish. I came home and I said to my wife, like, this guy that I met is just like, he and I have like a real good chemistry. I don't know if like, I don't mean that on like a friend level because I don't know him yet, but I know that on a creative level for sure. Because we do the same things. Like we have similar skill sets. We have similar like taste. And so
Yeah.
there's a lot of like in good comedy, there's yes and, right? It was always with him, it was yes and. And I was like, really, from the moment I met that guy, I was like, this guy is like somebody I want to spend more time with and get to know, because I feel like we have a good thing going.
And you guys learn a lot from each other, which is
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah. That's part of the thing about you and Colin, like, that's so, I don't know, refreshing isn't the word, but it's almost like one of the things that I think the guys appreciate is you're younger than us by enough that your worldview and your perspective on things and on music, like on the world in general, but also in music in particular, because you're younger, you've got a different perspective. But you're old enough that you've got experience, right? So it's like, because I have written with some young people who are in their like younger 20s, and they've got the first part, but they don't have the second part. The second part, they're just like, they've just have been doing it for like 5 years, 4 years, whatever, and it's not there yet.
Yep.
And you guys don't have that. You guys have been around long enough that you know, you've experienced some things that work well and some things that don't.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. A lot of things that
What are
don't
some
work.
things? What are when you say like when you've experienced things that don't work? What comes to mind? I mean, I don't want you to throw anybody under the bus, but like what?
I wish I just listened to my intuition more, and
Totally.
was able to just be like, no.
Same.
That's what I wish I did. Like,
Yeah, I relate to that.
when I look back, I'm like things that I thought like, oh, that seems a little weird. I'm just gonna go with it.
I'm just gonna
Like,
listen to this
fuck.
other person.
Yes.
This other person, maybe they know better than me about
Just because
what
they're
I should
older.
be doing.
Yeah. And they're experienced in this
Even when I
field.
say it out loud, it sounds
This is
stupid,
gross,
right?
yeah.
But that's what you
Ew.
do. You go,
Yeah.
oh, well, that person from the label, or that person from this producer, or
Yeah.
this other, I don't know, whatever, they've got a different experience. They've got success in another way.
Yeah.
And I don't know about that, so maybe they're right. And then you look back at it later and you go,
Yeah.
nah, I knew
Yeah.
that wasn't
Yeah.
something I should do.
And I unfortunately gave a lot of trust to people. And I should be a lot more distrusting now, but I still...
You're not, though.
I'm not. I'm
You're
not.
not.
I'm not
I
jaded.
think you're smart, though.
You
I
know?
think one thing that like to give you. What does it say? Oh yeah.
Learn!
No, I don't buy that at all. I don't buy that at all, because you're very. You're the right amount of trusting.
Yeah,
like you're
absolutely.
discerning. You like look at things carefully. You don't just like. Even with us, there are times when you've been like, look, it's your band. You guys know best. I'll go along with that. You still know. I've noticed. You still know when to say, hey, no disrespect. I know this is your band. You guys know, and it's your decision at the end of the day. But I have an opinion, and.
Yeah.
Like every time I can think of that you've done that, it's been the right thing to say. Like you've always come in at the right moment and said, hey, have you thought about I know you all think this, but like, have you thought about this other perspective? And it's always been a valuable contribution.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I try to be as objective as possible.
Yeah.
And that's where I like to be.
Yeah.
You know, if there's something I could say that could help with the bigger picture of things, it's just something that I've done for a while that I love to do. Even in general, just like even with friends of mine that I talk to and stuff, like I know this is going on right now, but the bigger picture, and it helps. It helps me too.
Don't you have like a bunch of like family and friends who don't know still, or have you told everybody at this point?
Not everybody, no.
Not everybody.
There's like friends I hang out with that still don't know. Like on weekends. Like.
You remember when we had that conversation? Here's what you said. You said to me, I'm afraid to hang out with my friends because I'm afraid I'm gonna like slip and say something about Linkin Park.
Yep.
So I have been avoiding that.
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah. So I have like I mean I've been invited to a lot of things like birthdays and stuff like that, and I'm just like, and then I go in my head, I'm like, so I'm gonna go and hang out and have a couple drinks, and they're gonna ask what I'm doing, and then I'm gonna feel weird by saying like, yeah, I'm just rehearsing, and then it feels weird to just say like, yeah, rehearsing, like, well, so how's Dead Sarah doing? Like, you guys writing something? Like, and then I just talk myself out of going anywhere because I don't want to have these fake conversations where I can't say everything, and I'm so happy, and I don't want to pretend that I'm not as happy, and so I just talk myself out of it and I just stay here.
Dude, I had a similar thing recently with a friend who I went to dinner with these two guys, and my friend was like, Mike, you look great, dude. What is going on with you? Like, you're in such a good mood. Everything must be, what's happening right now? Like, he smelled it on me because he didn't know anything. Yeah. But he just knew me well enough that he was like, something's happening and you're in such a good mood. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell you a thing, but like, you can't tell anybody. Like, I'm stoked right now. Like, it is like, things are so good. Yeah. And it's been happening over years. So we've been like, it feels like we've been keeping a crazy secret for a really long time.
I mean, I've told people, like, it got to a point and they're like, who is she? And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, it's
they thought it was a relationship.
Great. Yeah, like
that's funny.
You know, it's always
I love that.
So I'm like, it's like I don't know. I'm like, I'm so inspired. Like, my life just feels like something. It's like, oh, it's like something big's happening. I can't tell anybody, and it always ends to that. Like, it's gonna be really fun, and then they kind of want to pry a little bit, and I want to tell them. So then I'm just like, okay, that's it. No more. But is it like rock, Emily? Is it what you do? And I'm like, yes, it is. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I've totally given it away already, and I haven't at all. But I've had a couple people that definitely figured like.
You had friends who figured it out, kind of?
A little bit. And then I just would tell them, I'd slip and just be like, tell them, don't fucking tell anybody. Oh my God, that's so fucking cool. And then, you know, and then all of a sudden I get like a text from a random friend and being like, I just found out. And I'm like, wonder how you found out. And so now I'm just like, even like with the show that we're doing, like the opening.
Does that make you mad that people are like gossiping?
Yeah, and then I just can't write them back.
I don't get mad. I on your behalf, I'm not mad. I feel like it's natural, and like I told like management was like, we have to go out and talk to other managers because you need openers, right? Like you need to play with other bands, and we're setting up things, so we have to talk to people, and so people are gonna. There's gonna be chatter. Yeah. Just, is that okay? Like, what do you want us to do? And I was like, as long as it doesn't get out like in a way that's like definitive. If it's gossip,
smart.
I don't know if it's smart. It's a guess. I don't know.
That's
I
great.
just think if it's gossip, it's okay.
That's what I mean.
If it's fact, it feels not as good. Yeah. But we also can't control it. Like, we have to do. We're putting out a record. We're putting out songs. We're putting out, you know, eventually selling tickets to shows, and it's inevitable.
Like a little bit ago, Joe was like, don't worry about it. If it happens, it happens. It's so close to the finish line. Like the fact that we've got it this far, It's pretty
That's
fucking
pretty
great.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
we're a little over a week away from the teaser, that like timer
Yeah.
teaser thing
When does-
happening.
wait, a
It's-
week?
It's like a week and a half away.
oh my God.
Yeah. So like,
I could see my heart rate.
is it literally going up?
No, it went down. Why'd it go down?
Because you're so chill.
I did my breath.
It's
work.
weird.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
keep having these moments. What was for you? What were the most surreal moments in the last year? Where you went home and you like were like, wow, what the fuck?
I'll always remember when we were in the studio or writing. I don't know what song it was. We were writing. I think breathing underwater, maybe. I don't know. We were working on something, and you're like, "Oh, Emily, come! Like, we just gonna talk to you really quick."
Yeah.
So we all went into a room.
Who was it? Was it me and you and Dave?
Dave and Joe.
And Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like, "Hey, so we're gonna be booking some shows next year, and we think you did a great job with the old stuff, and we love
Yeah.
what we've been
right.
doing. So we just want to continue this." And I was just like, "Okay." Like,
Your reaction was really funny because your reaction was like that. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
well, like
It was
'cause
not, you stayed so cool. It was like we were asking you, like, are you
Why
busy
did I do
next,
that?
are you
Yeah.
busy next Thursday to like go to dinner? You're like, yeah, I can do that.
Well, I was trying to be on your guys' level, like how cool you guys were just asking me.
Dude, that's amazing.
So it's like
You played it very cool.
if I was just like so over the top, I feel like it just would have been a little cringe. So I was just like, yeah, I mean, I will give you guys everything. And you guys were really sweet and just being like, how does Dead Sarah think about it? Like you were just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that was like the first thing
Yeah.
that you were just like, before we get to this topic of something that we think is going to be great, what is the situation with that? And I was just like, yeah, I've already talked to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I respect the fact that,
Yeah.
you know, a band is a band. Like you go through a lot together, and I did want to make sure that like you're at a transitional kind of moment. And you said you were. I felt like
It was a perfect time.
I felt like when I was very nervous, excited and nervous to like talk to you about it because, you know, you could be like, no, it's not a good fit. So I was like, well, that would suck because I think that you'd be amazing in the band, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to fuck it up by like presenting it wrong or whatever.
I mean, it was bold of you to be like, because I never sang any of the old songs. You guys were like,
Yeah.
no, we think you could do it.
Okay, here's the thing about me.
I was like, well, you're right. I can do it.
I think I've got a pretty good imagination.
You do.
When it comes to what a sound can be like.
Absolutely.
That's why when I first worked with you, I was like, I already could imagine you doing the stuff that we ended up doing. And in fact, to your credit, you were better than I imagined. So that's like, it was incredible. For me, I was like, dude, I can't believe how good that, like when we were writing different things or you were singing on things, even now while we're like working out the live songs and the whole set, it's like, it's better than I thought it was gonna be. So
Yeah.
good job.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but we were saying, were there any other, okay, so when we said to you, hey, do you wanna, do you wanna come on tour and sing for the band?
Yeah.
I know we said it a weird way, but that
It was like one show that was like Rocking Rio was like maybe wanting to do something.
oh, maybe we were gonna do Rock and Rio,
Yeah.
that's right.
And it was a
And that
year
didn't end up
out.
working out.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they wanted to announce
Right.
earlier
They had
than
to announce
we
early
wanted
and we
to.
couldn't do that.
Yeah. So it was that, and I was like, yeah, if you want
And you
me.
played it super cool.
Yeah, of
And
course,
then you
like
went
I do.
home and you weren't super
And-
cool, or you stayed super cool?
Well, then we had to go straight back into recording right after that, and so I was just sitting in the fucking rehearsal room. I mean, in your studio, like okay, trying to just like put it away and just like okay, let's just continue writing because. And so you can imagine, like me just trying to like separate that from what you guys just asked me to do, and then continue to write. So once we left the studio, that's when I was just like, oh my fucking god! Like I was allowed to just like throw myself into this new,
Yeah, like
world.
processing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like I stepped into like a Disney world. Like it was like fucking full of magic and full of opportunity and everything you could possibly imagine.
Was
I
it
felt
in the
like I was-
car? Did you
like,
feel
I-
like that in the car?
Yeah.
As soon as you got in the car to drive home, you felt that
Oh
way?
my God, yeah. I was just like
Wow.
freaking out. I was like, I don't even remember getting home. I don't remember that like, I was floating for 3 days. Like I don't remember touching the ground. Like that's
Did you
how I
talk
felt.
to anybody?
No, I mean one person.
Who'd you talk to?
I talked to, I call her Mama Shay. Shay. She's just always been like.
Who is that? I know we talked about
Yeah.
that. Who is that?
We just became really good friends, and she's always been so like.
So when did you call? When
That
did you
night.
call her? You called
that
her that
night,
night.
but we left late, so she was asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, I texted and I said, I have some fucking news for you, and she's like, no. And then in the morning, whatever she texted, she's like, no fucking way. Like she knew, because she just had she was somebody that I like kind of talked to about it.
Yeah.
And so she was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, fucking call me as soon as you wake up.
Yeah.
And then I called and I talked to her, and she was just like, I fucking knew it, I knew it. But after that, I was just like, okay, I need to be careful in who I tell. Like, I don't know, like I just was like, I need to just be in this moment and just absolutely enjoy it. And it lasted like that, like high was 3 days, you know? And then I was just like, how do I tell my mom? How do I tell blah? Like, how should I tell? Like, and I was like, yeah, don't even worry about it. Just live it. Like, there was like ways that was just like kind of fun to like tell them like, oh, like, I don't know. Do I go get coffee? Do I do it like over the phone? Do I do, you know?
I remember you said later even you weren't comfortable saying like, I'm singing for the band. Like,
Oh,
I'm the
yeah.
singer of the band.
Yeah.
It took months. It was months later we had a conversation where you were avoiding using those words.
Yeah.
And I think I called you out
Yeah.
and I was like, why are you not saying that? Like,
Yeah.
you're our singer. And
Yeah.
you're like, that sounds so weird. That was your reaction, was like, that sounds weird. And I'm like, but that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was also too like to go back to the point of being like, I don't want people to find out.
Oh, you were nervous about people finding out.
Yeah.
I see,
So yes, in my head, this is what I'm doing, and it's also like a mind shift of being a singer for 20 years in another band,
Right,
and then
right.
having to like, yeah, I'm a singer. Like it's like an identity, you
Right.
know? It's like,
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah.
That's really interesting because
Yeah.
I had the same. All of us.
Yeah.
All of us had the same experience on the different sides of
Yeah.
it, right? Like Joe and Dave and Brad and I experienced like redefining Linkin Park in our brains, and we're still we're still experiencing that.
Yeah.
Like there have been all kinds of moments where the reality of what's happening right now hits us like, oh fuck, we just did a photo shoot together. That's what we look like together in a really nice picture. We've never
Yeah.
seen that before.
yeah,
Oh, we got on stage together
Yeah.
at this practice. Like, that's what we look like. That's what it feels like. You and me the other day, we jumped on that little box together yesterday.
Yeah.
And did that part of that song together. That's the first time we've done that.
yeah,
And it felt, I was like, for a second, I was like, oh, this is so fucking weird.
yeah,
And then I was like, but it's great.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
Yeah.
uncomfortable because it's new.
yeah.
But we're going to have to get used
Yeah.
to it, right?
And it was a wobbly thing too.
And the box was wobbly.
It was
Yeah, I
kinda
thought we were
great.
gonna. I
Yeah.
was afraid I was gonna knock you over, or you were gonna knock me over. Are there any times when you were like, I'm not sure about this, or you doubted the situation, or you doubted yourself?
Absolutely. Because it's fear, you know. It's such a big change that there was a moment where I was just like, oh my God, oh my God. It comes with all of the great things, you know. It's like when change happens, it's not necessarily always. You have to look at every aspect,
Yeah.
right?
It's not easy.
No. And there was a moment where I was just like panicking a little bit, just being like, oh my God, how people see me, you know? And not me being who I am, but it's mostly about
It's like your Wikipedia page is gonna change.
yeah, and it's just like, oh my God, and there's gonna be more eyes on me, and it's like, and it just kind of happened. It was like a flood of these type of, it's like goes back to the identity thing, where it's like my identity's changing, you know, and are you ready for it, Emily? Are you fucking up? Like, do you want to be this person? Are you able to fill these shoes? Are you able to be this person? And that's a time where I feel like as an artist, people back down.
Yeah.
And they go, I don't want that. I don't want that. Like, I just want to be this artist. I just want to be this. I want to be that. And that's like a moment where I was like, oh my God, like that's the fear base that happens that makes you not, it's the devil on the shoulder, you know? That's like, don't. Like, don't grow as an artist. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, and you do the opposite. Like, that's what I've learned. Like, do the opposite of that fear thing, because it's all good. Then why is this happening?
It's a high risk, high reward kind of thing,
Yes.
but it's also like people talk about that as an inspirational idea, but it's also high risk, high failure too. Like
Exactly.
it's more embarrassing if it doesn't work, right?
Exactly.
So like that's the part that's actually scary.
Exactly.
Is like, oh, I'm gonna fail in front of the class. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna fail
Yeah.
at home in my room. Like
Yeah.
everyone's gonna see me fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you gotta have guts, man.
Yeah.
Like that's, I definitely appreciate
Yeah.
the amount of courage that it takes to say like, yeah, I'm gonna take that on. Like
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah. Like what Chester's done and what the fans love about it. And it's like, here, I'm stepping into this
Totally.
role. So there's moments of just being like, oh my fucking God, Emily, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So,
We've talked about like the fact that, yeah, we know that not everyone is gonna like everything.
Yeah.
Every time we do anything, every time Dead Sarah did anything, anytime Linkin Park did anything, anytime any artist does anything, people will hate some part of it,
Always.
right?
Yeah.
And that's like you, as an artist, you have to be okay with that. It's not for those people. And by the way, some of them come around. Like some of my favorite albums ever were ones that I hated when I heard it the first time.
I know.
And then like a few weeks or a month later, I was like, wait a minute.
I know.
This is actually brilliant.
Some bands that I just like fucking despised. But
Right.
I'm just like, turn up now. I'm
You're
like,
like, oh,
this is so good.
Actually so
Like
good.
go and deep dive now. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, find a whole new world.
Oh my God.
But sometimes for me it takes that, so I understand that. But you've reinforced it with me many times, and this helps. And this is the thing. This is like the safety net where it's like, if I have those moments, just communicate it. And it's like anytime I do, it just resolves so fast.
Yeah.
And that's the
It
thing.
makes it less scary.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what's so great to have this as well. Like to be in this group, it's like I've noticed how much you guys carry each other, and it's so important to me in any band. And I know how important that is in a band.
Yeah.
You have to have that, like
I
trust
think,
each other.
I think on the other side, like the trust and the helping each other out, like one of the things that I see from you and from Colin is that you guys have earned everybody's trust really consistently. Like you come to the table so strong whenever we've done that. Like just like, is it an example that's fresh in my brain? Like with the live show, Colin, he's become like a musical director in a sense, where me and him, like I'll be like, this is how I want to see these things flowing together. Like, what do you think? And he'll throw ideas in. And the next thing I know, he's like built half of it in the computer and like gone to all the texts and been like, okay, hey, make sure you're doing this.
Yeah.
And he goes to Alex, make sure you're doing this. Like everything,
Yeah,
it's so helpful.
I know.
And it's really,
yeah.
you realize you can rely on each other. It's a great feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Colin and I've had our own discussions like throughout the whole process. Like we'll sit and we'll have like our back to back and be like this and this and
Yeah.
this, and like because we're figuring it out together.
Totally.
We got to rehearse. Like he kind of like
Oh yeah.
does the whip a little bit to like get everybody, and I was like, no, dude,
Yeah.
no, seriously. I heard some blah 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 talking about it, and we really liked how you're doing that. So
Yeah.
please go. Like
Yeah.
trying to reinforce it
Yeah.
in him. I'm like, it's a
Yeah.
really good thing, and I know that as a band, there's always has to be that some person that's just like taking it, and you have to give them that like, you're doing fucking great. Please keep going. And he is taking that to a place where I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah,
like
he's really good at it.
I don't even know half the shit that you're doing. Like, I don't even know how you're doing it. Yeah. And being the drummer that you are, you know, and like, no, this harmony, this thing, I'm like,
yeah.
You are overqualified, sir.
Yeah.
No, but
That's
like,
good.
he is so good at what he does and so humble about it.
You remember meeting Dave for the first time? Kind of weird, right? Like, cause I don't know when you met Dave. Might have been.
It was at the studio.
You did come to
Neptune or whatever.
Neptune.
That's
to
where I
that.
met.
That was back in like 2019.
That's where I met the whole band.
You met everybody
Easy.
at that point,
Yeah.
right?
Easy, done. Next question.
Yeah. I was wondering, like, when did you get like an impression about Dave? Do you remember like being like, oh, that guy, that's what that guy does?
I was like band dad for sure.
He's like band dad.
Yeah.
Dave's a band dad.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way.
Just like very calm.
Dude,
cool.
you know what's crazy is how you and Colin being like new to the band and the dynamic, like you guys just see things about the band that you're like, oh yeah, it's like band dad. Like Colin will say things that I'm like, oh, that's wow, how that, he said something the other day, he's like, yeah, like Brad is like so good at the smallest details and Joe is so good at the wildest, broadest things. It's like, here's the biggest idea you could have. Here's the like smallest detail that you need to cover. And I went, dude, that's been in front of my face for 20 years and I've never described it so like.
These are discussions that we always, like Colin and I had all the time.
Amazing. I'm not gonna notice something like that about somebody that I've known since college. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love to see like chemistry between people. Like it's my favorite. Like I love it. I
oh yeah, you love
it.
people watching.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And that's why I love being in a band. I love chemistry. I love getting along with people, and especially Dave and Joe, just the funniest fucking people.
so crazy.
They're so fucking funny to me.
Oh yeah, and Brad, when Brad started like hanging out more, you guys were just like, oh wow, like he's way funnier than I thought he was. I remember both of you saying that.
But like also funny in ways that like he doesn't realize he's funny.
That's
like, he's
also
not trying
true.
To be
like there
funny,
are times when he's trying to be funny,
which is
that's
funny.
that are
that's
funny.
Hilarious.
But then when he's not trying to be funny, those times are actually even funnier to me.
Yeah, but you just have to look at you or just look at somebody
like,
and
bro,
then it's
that
funny.
guy does not know how weird that is right now.
You don't have to say anything.
It used to be, I think a long time ago, you could point that out and he'd be uncomfortable because he knows it's weird. But now he's
embraced it.
Yeah, now he's super comfortable in his skin and you're like, dude, that was weird what you just said. He's like, oh yeah. Like it gets way funnier because he's in on the joke.
Yep.
We're all super weird.
It's artists.
Yeah.
Artists are weird.
That. Like you guys already know that I have to tell people when I'm super excited. Because I don't just jump up and down and get super excited. I have to like I have to say to somebody like, hey, I'm a 10 out of 10 excited right now. Just FYI. I have to say the words.
Oh, I
right?
love that.
Yeah. But you know that.
Yeah.
Like there are times when you can tell I'm excited, but there are other times when you can't.
Sometimes
you're like
and your eyes will get big.
Like I'm analyzing.
Your eyes will get big. And you just kind of like you do a slow turn like this and your eyes get big. Like and that's when I know. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
ears
good.
kind of go back like, oh my God. Or you'll just smile from ear to ear, like massive, like, okay, Mike, what you think, kid? What's going on?
I have an idea or a thing that I like.
A big idea that you have.
Yeah. What are you most excited about coming up? Like what's in a week, in a month, in a year, whatever, anything that comes to mind. Like what's shows. Yeah.
Traveling together. I love that. It's like one of my favorite. Like I like studio, but I'm way more like wanting to be out, like doing things.
One of the things that stuck out to me is like you wanted to get on the microphone so bad. Like you were like, it was like a racehorse that had the thing in front of them and it just wants to go. And it's the second we let it go, like off, right? Just as fast as you could go. And you were trying to get on the microphone and sing and when we're in the studio, him like, I feel like that is such a valuable thing to have when it comes to like being a touring band. Like, you gotta love to do it. Like, you gotta love to get out there on the stage and do it. And not for like this, with some people, they love it because they love to feel like they're important.
Yeah.
Right? That's different than you. Like, some people want to get up there because they want the attention, because they have like a fucking hole inside them that they think it fills. You don't, that's not your goal. Like, you just want to do it. There's something exciting. When I am on stage, I'm not thinking about the words. I'm not thinking about what I'm saying or singing. I'm thinking about the connection.
Yeah.
There's like an energy connection between me and whoever is there that I'm way more focused on, and you've got the same thing happening.
Yeah, and when it gets better and better, like as like live, as we're practicing and like the new songs and it's all coming together, that's where it gets really exciting too.
Yeah,
so
'cause
like
you're not
I
thinking.
want to throw that out. Like I want to, and I want it to come back, and I want to go back and forth, and it's so.
It is back and forth. It's a two-way like energy exchange. Yeah.
And I love that.
That's the best.
I fucking love it.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. The other thing I'm excited for is for people to hear the whole record.
Yes.
And when they hear the whole album and they go, because I feel like there's so much. It's like so three-dimensional. Like there's like so much variety on, even though it's only 10 songs, there's so much variety. There's, in terms of like types of songs and energy and emotions, but it's also like there's the loud and the quiet, and then there's also like the point in time almost. Like there's stuff on it that feels to me very like futuristic, and there's stuff on it that feels very classic.
Nostalgic?
Yeah, like classic to not just our band, but just like stuff I've always loved listening to.
Yeah.
Same?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when they hear that, they're going to be like, get all those emotions.
It's very authentic to me, the
Cool.
album. It's very, very authentic. And that's like very high on my, like, what I like to accomplish in music, you know? And I mean, there's so many other things that this album just checks off for me. Like you're saying, it's like deep. It's like there's so much to it.
There's so much restraint that we put in to like getting the songs where they were, and then like choosing this few songs. Like we could have put out more songs, but like the idea of choosing this few to start felt really like it was hard to do.
A mature decision. A very, very mature decision.
Any amount of years younger, and we wouldn't have been able to say that. We would have been like 5 years ago. We would have like put all the songs on. We want to put 30 songs out.
I could see that.
Yeah, I'm not a put every song out kind of person, but I am more songs, longer set, right, kind of person. And I think Brad is a fewer songs, shorter set kind of person. I don't think that. I know that. That's a fact.
Okay.
Right? So, and then everybody else sits on different places on the spectrum. I may not even be the furthest over on that.
I'm very excited for people to hear. And you mentioned that like the release is actually going to come sooner.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, we kept
that got
thinking.
Me very excited.
Yeah, we kept thinking it was going to be. It was like, oh, it's going to be early next year, and then it was like, and then it was going to be December. And now it's going to be November. New information for you.
God bless.
As
so
of
that's
like
why they
this
want
week.
To add those 3 songs into the set, because we might play.
Well, it was just the ideas that we're going to be allowed to, like, because the music's going to come out, and so now we can add songs, because that's the other thing I'm excited for.
Yeah.
The merging of the two.
Yeah.
Like we get to play the new songs.
Yeah. Not just Emptiness Machine.
Yeah.
Emptiness Machine, and I just want to do I mean, Over Each Other is cool, but like. Overflow, come on.
You really want to do Overflow.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's such a cool, just like on the album, it's like, it's a standout to me, and it expands the album, right? In like a really cool way. I think it's going to do that live too.
So, I mean, there's always one song that took the longest, the most amount of tries to get to it, and Overflow was the one, and rewrote the track so many times, rewrote the chorus so many times. I'm sorry to you, you had to sing it. It's so many different versions. I was like, yeah, we got a new version, sing this. Was there ever a moment with Overflow where you're like, I'm gonna sing this, but you're not gonna keep it? Like, you're gonna write a new chorus tomorrow?
I think when it was being written, I was just like, cool, I'm just gonna go in there and sing it.
Yeah.
But as I was singing
it,
it, I was like, oh wait, this is really cool.
Oh,
like,
good.
I felt I felt it. Like, sometimes it doesn't come together until I have to own it. You know what I mean? Like, not just hear it and be
so
like,
the final
like
version
this.
felt the most.
And then when I heard it back, like once you did your magic to it in fucking 2 seconds, I don't know how you do that, but, and then I hear it back and I'm like, oh shit.
Nice.
Like
nice.
I was saying, like, I'm
nice.
like, wait, I could sing. How did you make me do that?
Yeah.
Mike? Fucking shit. So,
yeah, I can make anybody sound good, even Emily. I'm really good at it. Really good at producing vocals.
Oh, yeah, I just can't wait for people to just hear how great of a fucking
Dude,
singer
I have to say, look, I said, like, I had with Chester, I had another human being that I could feed him ideas and he could bring them to life like nobody else. Like, it was an amazing, and I didn't know any better. I hadn't had so much experience with anybody else, right? So I was just like, oh, this is just what it's like to have a really good singer that you can like say, hey, what about this? Like, here's an idea, and they try it, and then you both go high five. Like, that's great. When I started working with other people, I realized that it's harder to find. That's unusual. Like, oh, they're really good at singing, and I think I know how to write a vocal.
Yeah.
And then we get together and we do it, and everybody's good at what they do. There's other people in the room. Everybody's good at what they do. And yet, the thing we made is like, it's good. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's like it's a B+. And I went like, in the beginning, like anybody who writes a song, you like, as you're writing it, you love it.
Yeah.
And then the next day or a couple of days later, you go, oh, it's got a lot of problems. Like, there's something missing. I don't know what's missing.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you start to realize I started to realize over time, there's something else. There's like an unknown thing that you can't quantify it, you can't measure it, you can't plan it. It's either there or it's not.
Yep.
And that's the thing. That was the thing that we ended up being like looking for more than anything. That I think we've got it.
Yeah. When you find it, that's what I love about bands and working with
when it
musicians.
works well.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. And I feel like I'm always looking for it, like my whole life. Like, that's all I've really worked towards.
Yeah.
That's why I knew when starting to sing and work with you guys, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I felt like
was,
I can give her a vocal idea, or I can, whether it's done or it's totally not done.
Yeah.
I can give you something, and we're gonna like get somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and there's gonna be that unknown factor is like somehow it's like there.
Yeah. And I will struggle if I don't get it. I have to.
You
I'm
are very
about
driven.
it.
Yeah, about it.
Very bullish.
You beat yourself up about it.
Yeah. But I have to realize sometimes, like, oh, this is not going to work. Like, just rewrite, and then it's rewritten.
Yeah, sometimes it's not you. Sometimes
it's never me.
Sometimes it's the part.
Yeah, but.
And other times you gotta get a good night's sleep and come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just like anybody.
Anybody. We're all human.
Yeah.
To be honest, like when I left rehearsal yesterday, I was like crying from like. And just in the car, and this sounds so stupid coming out.
Were you really?
Yeah, I was like, and I didn't, it just like hits me at random times. Like, I didn't expect it. I was like driving, and I was just like, oh my God, I feel so good. I was like, oh my God, driving home, and I was like,
really?
Yeah, I just like felt so like, when everything just like, it's like time stops almost. It's like this like moment where it's like, I get so emotional, and it's like it's at very random times, and it happened yesterday as I was driving home. Like I was just kind of like it's like any other day, any other, like, I was very tired, you know, I pushed myself all day, like,
we had
which is great.
That performance yesterday was the closest thing to a show that we've had. Colin too. We worked hard yesterday. Yeah. And the lights were on the way they were for the first time.
And I think that's probably what
it felt like a show.
That like little thing where I was like, oh my god, like I am so happy. I'm so happy. And it's like, I think it's just this moment of like when you just have that like autopilot moment, like you're away from everybody. Yeah. It's like, and there's something that just like your guards go down, but it's not even like my guards were up, but it's just like a moment to process what had happened.
Yeah.
You know, and it's usually in my car because I'm from LA.
That's
There was like the sun was down.
People from like New York don't understand.
No.
Because they're not.
So
you imagine being on the subway and having that happen? You just like start crying.
That happens.
Like with people all around you. They're like, are you okay? No, because that's why nobody asks if you're okay. Because they're like, we see this shit all the time. Like, leave that girl alone. Yeah. Who knows what's going on?
Crying on a subway.
Yeah, she's crying on the subway.
For sure, yeah. But it happens in the car in LA. But yeah, it was like, oh my God, summer. I was like, I realized like, oh, it is summer. Like it was like, I had like a whole thing and it was just...
What does that mean? What do you mean about summer?
Like I was like, oh, it is summertime. Like I didn't realize the time because it's like, it's Linkin Park time for me. It's like...
You've been in the...
Yeah. You know, it's like we're in a studio, we're in rehearsal, we're in this, where it's like, I haven't really participated in like, it's summer, we're gonna go on vacation. It's like, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a secret.
Well, no, that's real because you've been...
Yeah.
You've been intentionally shutting out all that other stuff that you would normally be doing.
Yeah. But I was looking at it in a way where I was like, God, like I don't care that it's like there's nothing else that matters. Like this is what makes me happy. Like it could be any time of the year. And I was just like, I don't know. I'm trying not to cry right now, but yeah, it was a fucking moment. Like I was driving home and it's like summer, who cares? Like, I don't know. It was just like, maybe I was like, this is what I want a summer to be, you know? Driving home and it was beautiful outside and I was inside all day, just jumping around, and it was like getting close to having that live performance, you know? And I was just like, I couldn't be any happier. And that I was like, I'm on my fucking path, you know? And so I had to like park my car and I went on a little walk just to like process a little bit more of it. And then I parked my car here, like before I even got up here. Like I just like, when I got home I went on a little walk. Yeah, and came back. Yeah.
I think that being vulnerable and talking about those things like is the best thing you can do. Yeah. It's the best thing you can do. I just like, it's so beautiful. Yeah. I relate to it so much. We all feel that way. Yeah. It's just so surreal going through this process because nobody else will understand. Right. Like all we can do is just like give them a piece of it. Like I feel like it feels so good. Like I want other people to feel it too. Like our band has been around for a long time. We've experienced all these things and you would think that we've experienced like everything, right? Like, but that's not the case at all. This whole thing, like there've been so many moments in the last few years that it's so new and so different in every way, like in bad things, good things, anxiety, weird things, uncomfortable, all of that shit. Like it's just constantly, because everything is so, some things are dramatically different, other things are so slightly different. And both versions can be just like, wow. Yeah. Like
that experience I had last night, like it makes it feel so much greater. Like it feels, you're like, what a drug, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like having everything come together like that is so powerful. It's such a feeling that's what I live for. That's what I live for. Like those moments,
Yeah.
you know, where it's like, it just feels so right. Like you put yourself in so many positions, like situations in your life, and you work so hard. And sometimes it's not necessarily about like, you know, and I hate to sound redundant, but like the destination, but it's more about those moments where you feel so free and you feel so happy and you feel like everything is exactly where it needs to be. That you can't help it, but just like, I just cry, like it's like you just have to allow yourself to take it, just like as you take all the fucking bullshit, you know. It's like you have to process it, you know. It's like I fucking earned this feeling, like you know.
You did.
Yeah.
You totally did.
Yeah.
You at least, not even speaking to like before we met you, which that is its own like body of work and amount of effort.
Yeah. Yeah.
But from just the last couple years, the amount of like effort has been like from you and from everybody. I think everybody is like, it's weird versions of effort too, because it's like not always like just showing up or like being somewhere for a few hours or clearing your schedule to come in and do work or to record something. It's not that. It's like sometimes the effort is like, I was noticing like on my side, sometimes the effort is somebody said something and I'm frustrated. Like I'm upset. And my effort has to be, look at yourself. Are you being unreasonable? Is this an ego thing? Is this a pride thing? Do you just think you're right and think they're wrong? Like what, and I have to do the work of like being honest about it or like figuring out how to like navigate, right? And that's usually the work of like, you know, me and Joe and Brad and Dave with each other, is we've got all of this history, know each other so well. It's like brothers who like they know where everybody's buttons are and you can push them. And in our case, no, I don't think anybody's doing it on purpose. I think it's accidental. So like somebody will do something, you're like, bro, that's gonna be, I know exactly what he's gonna say, or I know exactly what he's gonna do. And one of the magical, like you were talking about, you didn't use this word, but I heard it being like gratitude, right? You're just like, you're very present right now and you're like just living in the moment. And for me, my version of that is that the dynamic of like everybody in the band, but especially those of us that have the most history together, the dynamic is so good. It's really good. Like it's easily, to me, it's easily the best culture we've had. And that's not, I'm not saying that as a knock on the old lineup. I'm saying that as specifically about the growth of Brad and Joe and Dave and me. Like everybody is like just in a really good place, and part of that is maybe gratitude for being able to do it again. Like, oh shit, like this. What's your favorite? Actually, I'm gonna use this with Zane. I thought of this thing the other day. Amazing. It is basically the idea of like, what's your favorite thing to do in the world? And now imagine you get that taken away. Okay, you can't do it. It's gone. And then living in that for a while, and then coming back later and being like, okay, guess what? You can have it back. That's a fucking crazy feeling. That's the part for us that we have the most gratitude for, is like, oh, it's not gone. Like, we get to do it again. That's fucking awesome. That's incredible.
It almost, and I don't mean to be selfish and take away from that, because that's so fucking amazing. I almost feel the same way.
Wow.
You know, because it's like,
Wait, what's your version of
with
it?
Dead Sarah, it's like we've had success way long ago, and we've been chasing it for so long.
Right.
And it got to a point where it was just kind of like I told you, like our last album, we're gonna do everything we possibly can.
Right.
I didn't know what was gonna happen after that.
Right. You,
But I was like,
you
all I
tried, and
know-
you tried everything.
Yeah.
You worked really hard.
And I worked with other people. I was like doing a solo thing. I was like, what do I want to do? And I was like, I want to be in a band. But like, it always comes back to, I really just love being in a band, and that's what I want to do, like more than anything. And I feel like that's my position. That's what I've been working on for so long.
Yeah,
Like,
I can't
that's what I'm
imagine
so
you
good.
doing anything else.
Exactly. So it was
can't
just like,
imagine it.
fuck. Like, and then this happened. I was like, oh my God.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I get to do this again.
Yeah.
But in a way that's like
But
my wildest dreams.
part of it is like, part of that is just that we're believers. Like and we're like discerning, like we're picky as fuck.
Yeah, I know.
We're so picky. And then we were like, yep,
Yeah.
Emily's got this.
Yeah.
Like you are the one.
And that's another thing too with the panic thing. Like it goes with that same facet, like of me being like, did you ever have like the like scaries of like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
you see this happen a lot with other people. Like, oh my God, this person got this role. This person got this. Like, imagine how they feel.
Imagine
like,
how they feel.
that's amazing. And you're all, I mean, I am usually like, and I've seen people, and I've been friends with people that have come from nothing to being something,
Yeah.
or even being something like I don't know,
Yeah.
get a job with, you know, as a singer or whatever it is, but something that's just like from not much to like, and you're just like,
A big
whoa.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get a shot.
Yeah. And it's just like, wow. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm that person. You know what I mean? And it's like, never have I ever thought that that would be the case for me.
I do think a lot about the idea that like we're giving you this platform, like we're giving you this thing.
Yeah.
And it's not, there's no amount of charity to it. There's no amount of like, hey, like try and do a good job. There's none of that either. It's only you have built up trust with us that we know we can hand it to you and you're gonna do a great job. Like there's no, I don't have any reservation.
Yeah.
By the way, even if there are mistakes along the way, even if there are times that it goes off the rails and it's even if it's your fault, even if it were to be like, okay, we played the show and there's an accident happened or something, you forgot something or you did whatever, like fucking fine. That's okay because I'm 100% in the aggregate, in the big picture.
So much greater than like the little.
Totally, I'm 100% confident.
Yep.
I'm 100% confident.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go out there 99% confident.
Yeah.
Right? Because then you'd feel it. Like I would feel weird.
Yeah.
Like I was lying.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not. I know that I'm not. Positive.
Yeah. I don't like to fake shit. Right. Like it has to be very authentic.
Right.
And that's, I wouldn't have ever joined. I wouldn't have ever done it if I didn't feel like I could be fully authentic in who I am.
Yeah, I know you that about you were coming in with like, okay, am I gonna be able to be what you need?
Yes.
Right? Like,
Without changing too much of who I am.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta be you, and you gotta...
Yeah. And you guys literally gave that to me. We're like, so we think you could do it. You good? Okay, cool. It's just like...
That was the weirdest.
And it was just like, okay. So okay, I'm gonna go to Europe for like, because I was planning to go there. Yeah, it's fine. Just, we don't really need to do anything until like January.
That was part of that. I thought that was the best timing.
Yeah.
I actually really,
Absolutely.
I was rooting for
That's fucking great.
talking to you before you left because I was like, she's gonna need to process.
It was perfect.
So
that's exactly what I did.
You did.
That's exactly.
That was my hope.
And especially like you sent me all the demos too, and just like.
I also thought that there was a chance you'd come back from Europe and be like, hey, I thought about it, and it's just like, but it would be the best, right? That would be the best case if it was going to be a weird match. You would have come back and said it's a weird match.
Yeah.
I thought about it, and it's too different than what I want to do. And you didn't. You came back and said, let's fucking go.
Yeah, let's fucking go. I was so excited. And then I was just like, I got so much work to do. And I started getting like antsy. Like, I have this song, I have these songs. And I'm like, okay, I have so much. Oh my God, Emily, you have so much to fucking do. Like, you need to practice. Go. And that's right when I got.
Yeah.
Like, Colin, I need you.
Yeah.
We're going to practice together.
Let's work this out.
Yeah. And then he was just so good at like,
Speaking of which, I'm supposed to go over to Colin's.
Oh yeah. What
I
time
gotta
is it?
go. Wait, what's he saying
We're
here?
just blabbing. You're like, you know what? I have to fucking deal with this.